Welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes with Pastor Femi. We're continuing our discussion on the mysteries of God's will. We've said it that there are so many things that are kind of unknown or complicated, some things beyond us about the will of God. You know, sometimes something like there are some secrets, there are some hidden things about the will of God. Or put it another way, many times the will of God tends to just baffle us. You know, we seem not to be able to comprehend that something might be God's will, especially when we are in there. So we've talked about so many things. We've talked about 7 different things now, about the will of God. Today, we are going to be looking at another aspect, another secret about the will of God. And that is the fact that the will of God is not something that you and I can decide. It's not our decision. And it is not based on our decision. The will of God is something that we discover. Something that has been decided already by God for us. In actual fact, another way to put at it is something close to what people call predestination. That means you determine the destination beforehand. So once the destination has been determined beforehand, then what is left for us is to discover what that destination is, or that destiny is. You see, in life, we all struggle trying to decide what we want in life. I believe that one of the, I would say lies, even though maybe lie is too strong a word to use, that we all have become involved in, is the idea that when you were growing up, people will tell you that you can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. You can become whatever you want to become. That tends to put the onus on us that it is our decision, the way our path in life must go, as if it is not something that's got to do with God. So what happened? When you are growing up, you have been told that you can do whatever you want to do, you can become whatever you want to become. So we all choose different things. So we decide that, what are the glamorous future that we want to have? What are the glamorous profession that we want to have? So we take up all of those things. We decide, okay, I'm going to become a doctor. I'm going to become an architect. I'm going to become a lawyer. I'm going to become a pharmacist. I'm going to become an engineer. I'm going to become a pilot. And once we made all of those decisions then, what did we do? We now start planning to become those things. So we apply to different schools based on all of those things that we have decided. And then we just go ahead and we study those things. And then after studying those things, spending some years, pursuing them, especially in your university education, spending some 7 years, 8 years, 5 years, 6 years, 4 years on whatever. Then you graduated with that profession. So you are certified to be a doctor, certified to be an accountant, certified to be a lawyer, certified to be an engineer, certified to be an architect. And then you now start working. You suddenly realize that there are some other things about you. So some people now realize that, no. I'm a lawyer, but I really like to be a fashion designer. I realize that this is something that is good for me. So before you know it, a lawyer has become a fashion designer. Somebody say, well, I'm a doctor, but I really like acting. And then before you know it, a doctor has become an actor. And when you come to church and ministry, that is where we even have the highest number of this issue. Today, you have so many people. They were doctors, now they're pastors. They were lawyers, now they're pastors. They were engineers, now they're pastors. They were architects, now they're pastors. They were pharmacists, now they're pastors. They were psychologists, now they're pastors. So they totally left their profession what they thought they are going to be in life. But along the line, they discover something that, no, this is what I want to be in life. I have passion for other things. So now they are discovering what the will of God is, even though they've thought that the will of God is something that they can decide. So they decided, but along the line discovered that, oh, my decision was not the right decision. It doesn't mean that they are not good. I mean, I was an engineer. I was a very good engineer. Practiced both within my country and outside the country, with so many offers, with multinationals and in good places. Good engineer. But I realized that I want to be a pastor. I want to be a minister. This is what I want to be. What I have trained for, and I'm also good at it, is not what I want to be. So in essence, along the line, I'm discovering the will of God. And then many people, even there are some people that they did not totally leave the profession, so they are trying to combine the two. But the reason why they are combining the two is because they now realize that, well, this one is giving me money. That's the one I went to study in school. But this other one is giving me satisfaction. This one is giving me fulfillment. But that is the one that God really wants me to be. And I can quickly tell you that the reason why one is giving you money, one is giving you fulfillment, is because you have not given all your attention, to the one that is giving you fulfillment. Because if you have given all your attention to the one that is giving you fulfillment, it will eventually be able to sustain you. But we are scared to leave the one that we have chosen for ourselves and embrace the one that God has fully opened for us or decided for us. This is one major thing about the will of God. So people, realize that I have chosen something, and then later on they discover another thing. The will of God in our lives is not something that we decide. It is something that we discover. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 4. God said, then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew you. This is God talking now. God said, before you were formed, before you became a human being, where you were still egg and sperm, before the two of them come together to form you, I've already known you. And before you came forth out of the womb, I have sanctified you. That means I have separated you. That means before you were given birth to, after the conception, before you are fully formed, and then you became a baby. He said, I have already sanctified. That means I have separated you, or I have called you. And then he said, and I ordained you. That means before you were formed, before you came out of the womb, while you were still in the womb, I have separated you, and I have ordained you a prophet unto the nation. You are not even born, and God said, you are a prophet to the nation. That is just like me. Before I was born, God said, you are going to be a preacher of the gospel. After I was born, I was sent to school. I was given all kinds of things about profession. Nobody gave me an option of being a preacher of the gospel. It was not part of the option. Nobody talked about it. It's not as if we did not have preachers of the gospel around us. We have priests, we have reverend all around us. We go to church. We see all of them in church. But it didn't occur to anybody in my family that there is a calling that I can become, a minister of the gospel. But they gave me all the other options. They showed me all the other options that are available. I can be this, I can be this, I can be this. And I also decided that, well, after seeing all of these things, I finally decided that I'm going to become an engineer. And after I become an engineer, I now realized that, before I was formed, before my father and my mother even came together, God has already known about me, and God had already decided that I'm going to send you to a country called Nigeria, and you are going to be a preacher of the gospel. But it took me years to discover that. Even though it shouldn't have taken me years to discover that, because God on his own had already been, God will give you some things, visions, dreams, and that tends to show that this is what you should be. But we always go into the ones that we felt, we would like to be. That is something major about the will of God. The will of God is something that you discover. It is not something that you decide. Father, thank you very much for your word. We give you praise. We appreciate you for speaking to us again. In Jesus' name.